Before starting the class, let me share the slide. Okay. So hopefully you can see the slide now. So please mute your mic. So today I will discuss PID controller tuning under this review of the feedback control. So in PID controller tuning, basically, if you try to control a process using a different types of tuning parameters, the tuning parameter here basically means that when I'm using a conventional controller like PID controller, so that PID controller I can use only the proportional action. I can use both proportional and integral action. I can use all the three actions like P, I, and D. Also, you can use the proportional and derivative actions. We have already seen the effect of these actions, and one of the things we have found out in our earlier analysis that unless we have the integral actions, we will have the offset always in our process control. So to remove the offset, we have to have integral actions. So let's say if I am using a proportional integral controller, that means a proportional action and integral actions for a particular process. So different values of the proportional and integral parameters, I can have a response like this. I can have a response like this. And from this response, how do we know which one is the good? How do I decide? Just from the visual observation, even it's not easy to decide that this one is good or this one is bad, right? So we need to have some kind of a parameters, measures or parameters to know which controller tuning is good or what should be the value of the Kc tau and tau t. So the next thing is the two aspects over here. One is the performance criteria. What should be the performance criteria? And second is the performance measure. So let us see what are the performance criteria. So when we are controlling a system, then that closed loop system must be stable. Secondly, the effects of disturbances are minimized, providing good disturbance rejections. And third one is the rapid smooth response to the set point changes are obtained, that is good set point tracking. In any control system, there are two work any control system has to perform. One is the servo control, another is the regulatory control. Servo control means the set point tracking and regulatory control means the disturbance rejection. Fourth point is the steady state error has to be eliminated. Excessive control action is avoided. Excessive control actions means the excessive changes in the manipulated variables, maybe in the control valve, maybe in the voltage, maybe in the current. So that excessive control action has to be avoided. And the control system should be robust. Robust basically means that it should be insensitive to the changes in process conditions and inaccuracies in the process model, which means most of the control system we design based on certain process model. Maybe a first order with date time model, maybe a second order with date time model. So we get a process model, we estimate a process model, and from that process model we design the control system. But if there is inaccuracies in the process model, inaccuracies in the gain, inaccuracies in the time constant, and so on, still the control should be robust enough to take care of that inaccuracies. And how do we measure this control performance. Normally, we can measure the control performance by evaluating these parameters. One is the overshoot. Second one is the decay ratio. Third one is the rising time or the response time. Fourth one is the stabilization time or the settling time. Fifth one is the integral error. Integral error has three types of criteria. One is the integral absolute error. Second one is the integral square error. Third one is the integral time absolute error. Also in the frequency domain, we can also measure the phase margin and the gain margins. So these are the control performances we can measure, and based on this control performance, we can say that this particular PID tuning parameter or PI tuning parameter is optimum. So now let us see what are the methods available for PID controller settings or PID controller tunings. I have listed here the six categories over here. There are many modes. So these are the major 6 categories which can be used for PID controller settings. One is the classical PID controller tuning method, which is basically called the empirical tuning correlations using FODT model. So the first one is the step response FODT model. And second one is the continuous cycling. Although the continuous cycling method not only although developed for the FODT, but can be used for any kind of model. Second is the direct synthesis method, which is a model-based approach. Third one is the internal model control method. Fourth one is the optimization method. Fifth one is the frequency response technique. And sixth is the online tuning after the control system is installed. So I'll discuss in this category the tuning methodology. So let us start with the empirical tuning correlations using this FODT model. So in case of empirical tuning correlations, we are using controller, it's conventional PID controller, and if I am using derivative on output, then these controller parameters will change by these relationships. If I am using PID with derivative of output, then these relationships will change by this. Kc tau I and tau D will change by these relationships. Okay. Now, if I have a step response model, which is a first order with date time, that is Gs is equal to k by tau s plus 1 e to the power minus theta s, then I have 3 kinds of correlations available, which are popular correlations. There are many other correlations available, but these are the 3 popular correlations available. One is the Ziegler-Nichols relations, second one is the Cohen-Kuhn relations, and third one is the Chien-Rons-Reswijk relations. So let us see what is the Ziegler-Nichols relations. So the Ziegler-Nichols relations basically tells us that is basically dependent. All these relationships are basically dependent on this parameter tau by theta k. So this for Ziegler-Nichols proportional controller will give me tau by theta k. For PI you will get 0.9 tau by theta k and 3.3 theta. Theta is the time delay, and PID PID will be given by 1.2 tau by theta k 2 theta and so on. Okay. Next, I am going to the Cohen-Kuhn formula. Cohen-Kuhn formula, which is basically similar to the Jagan type formula. So what happens is initially Ziegler-Nichols first published a paper in 1942 or so for finding out the estimating a process model from a process data, estimating a first order with date time model using a process data. And then from that process model, he has formulated these tuning correlations. In a similar fashion, Cohen-Kuhn also established a method for finding the process parameter, which is nearly similar to the Jadron method, and then found out empirical tuning formula, which is also based on the parameter A, which is tau by theta k, and the equations are like these. The tuning formulas are like this for P is equal to A within bracket 1 plus theta by 3 tau and so on. So I'm not reading all these values over here. So he has given this empirical relationships based on the tau by theta k. For Stian-Ronz-Reswick tuning formula, which is again a Jaden type tuning formula for the first order with date time system, but they basically took both the set point tracking and the disturbance rejections, which basically accommodates the speed of response as well as the overshoot qualitatively. Yes, please. Yes, please. Do you have any question? Okay. And based on that, CHR basically gave these formulas over here. You can see this is for 0% overshoot and 20% overshoot. The first one is for the set point tracking, and within bracket, the formulas given within brackets are for the disturbance rejection. So the CHR basically gives formulas which for both set point tracking and disturbance rejections with 0% overshoot and the 20% overshoot. If I am going for a 0% overshoot, then the speed of response will be slow. If I go for a 20% overshoot, then the speed of response will be fast. So these are the three popular tuning, empirical tuning formula which can be used. If I used all these three tuning formula for a particular process, then we can see for a set point tracking, the Cohen-Kuhn is very aggressive because the oscillations is pretty high, and you can see the overshoot is nearly 90%. Whereas Ziegler-Nichols is the speed of response is more or less similar, but the overshoot is around 60%, whereas the CHR for zero overshoot is pretty slow. But there is no CHR for zero overshoot is pretty slow, but there is no overshoot at all. The control action is smooth, but it's a sluggish response. Whereas for 20% overshoot, that you'll get around say 15% overshoot over here for this process, but your response is quite well. It's quite smooth. So for this process, we can easily say that the CHR 20% tuning parameter is quite okay to control this process. In a similar fashion, we can, if we look at for the same process, if we look at the disturbance rejection performance, in case of a disturbance rejection performance, we can see for the Cohen-Kuhn, the oscillations is very high, and that's the overshoot is high, and that's we also have the oscillations. Whereas for the CHR 0, it's pretty sluggish to take care of the disturbances, because the set point took long time to reach to settle to the initial value. whereas both CHR20 and Ziegler-Nichols give equivalent performances. So these two are basically Ziegler-Nichols and the CHR20 both basically gives equivalent performances. So from here basically we can see that if we use for CHR20, then it's for this particular process it gives reasonable performances for both set point tracking and the disturbance rejection. Okay. But these performances basically varies process to process, but more or less for all of the processes you will find the CHR20 correlation is the acceptable correlation, acceptable empirical correlations out of these four correlations. Next, I will go to the continuous cycling method. The continuous cycling method basically introduced by Ziegler-Nichols in 1942, and it was initially based on a trial and error procedure on a process plan where control system is already implemented. So what he has done is after the process has reached a steady state, he eliminated the integral and derivative actions from the controller and then changed the Kc to a small value and placed the controller in the automatic mode. And then he introduced a small set points step change so that the control variable moves away from the set point and then increases the Kc in small increments until continuous cycling occurs. So what is continuous cycling? Continuous cycling is basically a sustained oscillation with a constant amplitude, which in a frequency response, if you remember in a frequency response analysis, then it's where your stability limit, Bode stability limit or a Nyquist stability limit. That means when the system given the control system has the amplitude ratio of 1 and the phase lag is minus 180 degree. So the numerical value of Kc that produces the continuous cycling is called the ultimate gain Kc, and the period of corresponding sustained oscillation is referred to as the ultimate period Pu. So based on this Kc and the Pu, Ziegler-Nichols has given these correlations. The Ziegler-Nichols has given these correlations, but this correlation is pretty aggressive. If I use these tuning parameters based on the Ziegler-Nichols, it has become pretty aggressive, and in some cases, the actual process may destabilize. So, because the robustness is not there in this case. So what happens is Tyrus and Leuven further refine these correlations. Tyrus and Leuven further refine these correlations, and they have come up with the new set of correlations, which is based on the Kcu and Pu. Okay. So these are basically the correlations which uses the continuous cycling method. If I use both these correlations on a particular process, and if you do a set point tracking, you can easily see for a Ziegler-Nichols, this is the performance where the oscillation is there. Whereas for a Tyrus-Leuven, the oscillation is small and then it smoothly reaches to the set point. So the Ziegler-Nichols tuning formula gives you much more aggressive PID tuning values compared to the Tyrus-Leuven. So these two are basically based on the empirical tuning formula. Next, I will talk about the method which is based on the model. Before going there, let us just take one example over here. How to use this continuous cycling. So let's say this is my transfer function. Based on this transfer function, I can find out the characteristics equation 1 plus In the characteristic equation, I will use only the proportional gain Kc. So 1 plus Kc g equals to 0. So I will get this characteristic equation. Now from the root array, I found the root array, and from this root array, I can get Kcu. From this, I can get the Kcu will be either minus 0.2, or from this equation, I can get Kcu is equal to 1.008. Okay. And if I put Kcu is equal to 1.008 over here, then this will be 0 and 0. And from this, I can find out the omega c. From this, I can find out omega c, because this element will become 0. This row will become 0. So the previous row from here, I can find out omega c will be 0.446. And from there, I can find out the Pu will be this value. From there, I can find out the Pu, this value. So once I get the Kcu and Pu, then I can use the settings. Okay, so this is the continuous cycling method. In theoretically, we can apply if you can calculate the stability limit or stability criteria. That we can easily calculate either by root array, by method of direct substitution, or by frequency response method like Bode stability criteria, using Bode stability criteria. Okay, so the next I will discuss is the direct synthesis method. Now in the direct synthesis method, this direct synthesis method is a model-based approach. So when you are finding out the controller parameters as well as the structure of the controller equations, I can use the model directly to find that. Okay, although we are discussing only the conventional controller over here, but the direct synthesis method and the next method, internal model control method, both the methods are called the model-based controller design method, which not only gives the PID controllers the tuning parameters, but also gives a controller which is not a conventional PID controller. So it will also give it different controller equations which may not be a PID controller. So that is the advantage of this model-based controller design approach. So let us start with the direct synthesis approach. If we look at the closed loop feedback control block diagram for a particular process, from this feedback control block diagram, we can have a closed loop transfer function for the set point changes of these. Out of this, if I simplify this, and we can take from here to here, from P to Ym as G, then we can say that G is equal to GV, GP, GM, and assume that GM is equal to KM. Then that equation I can reduce to Y by YSP, GC into G, 1 plus GC into G. Okay. Now in this, I can find out the expression for the GC from this equation, which will be Y by YSP by G 1 minus Y by YSP. Now from this equation, if I know Y by YSP and G, if I know Y by YSP and G, I will have a controller equation directly. So I can synthesize the controller equations directly from the process model itself, provided I know what is Y by YSP. Now what is Y by YSP? Y by YSP is nothing but I am faced how the output will change for a changes in the set point. So in this case, if we can specify that I want to design a control system where my output should change in this fashion for a set point changes, which means if I can specify Y by a YSP, then I can find out the controller, I can find out the GC provided I have a process model for the, I have a process model G. So we can have a practical design equations of GC, which is y by YSP D. That means that I put D over here because there is a desired closed loop transfer function which is known to me, and G is replaced by the G tilde, which is the process model for the G. So the G is the actual process which is unknown, but the process model which I am estimated from the process data is the G tilde. So once we know all this, now we can have a GC because we know the y by YSP, we know the G tilde. Here we can see this GC is inversely proportional. It says GC and G bar is basically GC contains the inverse of the process model. So GC into G hat equals to 1. Now next is the what should be the reference trajectory or y by YSP or desired closed loop response. Let's say y by YSP D is equal to 1 by tau CS plus 1. It should be 1 always because otherwise there will be offset. So to reduce the offset y by YSP D, the gain will be always 1 and the tau C is the time constant for the closed loop process. So I can say this is my closed loop process behave like a first order process with a tau C time constant, which is the desired closed loop time constant. Defining this, then I put this y by YSP D as 1 by tau C S plus 1 and I replace this in the GC equations. So in the GC equation y by YSP D I put this one and here also I put this term over here and I will get GC is equal to 1 by G tilde by 1 by tau CS. Now you can see in this equation it contains 1 by S term, which is basically provides the integral actions, so there will be no offset in the final performance of the closed loop system. Okay. Now this tau C parameter basically is a tuning parameter over here. So if I take a small value of tau C, then my controller will be very aggressive. If I take a large value of tau C, then my controller will be sluggish. The controller performance will be sluggish. So this is basically my controller equations when I'm using my closed loop desired response by 1 by tau CS plus 1. Now, based on that, let us see what will be the controller equations. Let's say if I have a process which is pure gain process. Let's say I have a process which is a pure gain process. For a pure gain process, I will have a controller which is 1 by k tau CS. So theoretically, I need only an integral controller to control the pure gain process. Similarly, if I have a pure integrator process, pure integrating process, then I need only a proportional controller to control the pure integrating process. For a first order process, I will get a PI controller. Now in this PI controller, you can see you have got only one tuning parameter, which is tau C. The proportional gain tau by k tau C is function of only the tuning parameter tau C, and integral time constant is the time constant of the process. Integral time constant is the time constant of the process. For a second order system, I will have a PID controller. I will have a PID controller. Here also you can see the integral time constant is given by the tau1 plus tau2. Proportional gain is given by tau1 plus tau2 by k tau c, and derivative time constant is given by, this is tau I tau d, so tau1 tau1 plus tau2 by tau1 tau2 by tau1 plus tau2 will be the derivative time constant. But in all these things, all these controller equations, you can find now there is only one tuning parameter, which is tau c, which defines what will be the speed of response of the feedback control systems. So I can decide the speed of response of the feedback control system, and knowing the process model, I can have a PI controller. I can have a controller. That can be a PI controller or PID controller. You can see from the process model here also, for a first order process, we do not require a PID controller, whereas for a second order process, we require a PID controller. Now let us go to the first order with date time process. Now for a first order with date time process, if I am using the same desired response, then what will happen is I am telling the process to eliminate the date time, which is the inherent characteristics of the process, which is not possible to do that. Which is so in that case, I have to incorporate the date time also. I have to incorporate the date time also in the desired closed loop response. So I reformulate the y by ysp desired as e to the power minus theta s by tau cs plus 1. The time delay term in above is essential because it is physically impossible for the control variable to respond to a set point change at t is equal to 0. There has to be a time delay. So I combine this reference trajectory with these controller equations. I will get Gc as 1 by g tilde e to the power minus theta s tau cs plus 1 minus e to the power minus theta s. Okay. Now e to the power minus theta s, I can approximate using a truncated Taylor series expansion or the first order Taylor series expansion, which is 1 minus theta s. So if I put e to the power minus theta s as 1 minus theta s, then Gc will become 1 by g tilde e to the power minus theta s by tau c plus theta s. Here also you can see this controller contains and the integration term, 1 by s term, which is basically the integral controller. So once we have this GC expressions for a process having a time delay, then we can design the controller for a first order with date time process. So let us take the first order with date time process as k e to the power minus theta s by tau s plus 1, and then so g tilde will be these values, and I will have the GC expressions of this one k by 1 by 1 tau is plus tau s. Yes, so I will get a for a first order with date time process. I'll have a PI controller which can control the process where the tau I will be given by tau c plus theta. tau I will be given by the tau, and tau c plus theta will come into the proportional actions. So the Kc will be 1 by k tau by theta plus tau c, and tau I will be equals to tau. So for the date time, if you compare the first order process and first order with date time process, the controller equations more or less are same, that is the Phi controller, but the proportional part changes. For a first order system, the proportional part is 1 by k tau by k tau c, whereas for a first order with date time, it is tau by k into theta plus tau c. So theta term is basically added with the tau c term. Next, I'll send to the second order with the time delay model. Next, I will see the second order with a time delay model. In case of a second order with time delay model, we'll put this my estimated model equation is k e to the power minus theta s by tau 1 s plus 1 plus into tau 2 s plus 1. So I substitute into the GC and I rearrange. This will give me a PID controller equations. This will give me a PID controller equations, and the Kc will be given by 1 by k tau 1 plus tau 2 by tau c plus theta. Tau I will be tau 1 plus tau 2, and tau d is equal to tau 1 plus tau 2 by tau 1 plus tau 2. Here also, if you compare the second order system, pure second order system, and second order with time delay, the controller equation in both the cases, I am getting a PID controller. But the PID controller parameters in the PID controller parameters, integral and derivative time constants are remaining same, but for the proportional gain, it is changing. The proportional gain is reduced for the second order plus time delay model, because the tau c is replaced by tau c plus theta. So this basically gives me a controller equations, if I know the process model, Okay. So similarly, we can have a controller equations for other process models. So let me take one example over here. Let's say I want to design the controller for these, but g is equal to 2 to the power minus s, 10s plus 1, 5s plus 1. Now, I consider three values of the digit tau c is equal to 1, 3, and 10. Now, evaluate the controllers for the unit step changes in both the set point and the disturbances, assuming that GT is equal to G. And now we repeat the evaluation for the two cases when the process model is perfect, when the model gain is incorrect, remove this part. This is when the model gain is incorrect, and that means the model gain is k is equal to 0.9 instead of k is equal to 2. Now, for this process, if I use the direct synthesis design method, so I will get a PID controller parameters. So my G tilde is this equation. The GC will be 1 by G tilde e to the power minus theta s tau c plus theta s. So using these two, I will get the GC as 10s plus 1, 5s plus 1, 2 e to the power minus theta s, e to the power minus theta s by tau c plus theta s. And then I will get this equation, GC equation, and comparing, I will get tau y is equal to 15, tau d will be 3.33 and Kc is equal to 15 by 2 tau c plus 1. Okay. So I will get a PID equations with this PID parameters. Here in the integral time constant and derivative time constant is known from the process model itself, process model parameter itself, and the Kc is the function of tau c only. Kc is the function of the tau c only. Now using these parameters, if I find out the controller parameters, so Kc, when k is equal to 2, for tau c is equal to 1, Kc will be this value. For k is equal to 0.9, then Kc will be 8.33, 4.17 and 1.51 for tau c 1, tau c 3 and tau c 10. And tau I and tau t will remain same for all cases. So once we have this PID parameters for different values of tau c 1, tau c 3 and tau c 10, as well as the k tilde process gain 2 or process gain 0.9, then if I do a simulation, for tau c is equal to 1 and tau c is equal to 3 and tau c is equal to 10, here k is equal to 2, process gain is 2, and we have designed the controller parameters based on the process gain 2, then we'll find this result. So here you can see easily this is for the tau c is equal to 1 and this is for tau c is equal to 3 and tau c is equal to 10. Tau c is equal to 10 is basically the tau c value. If tau c value increases, then the sluggishness will increase. So the closed loop response becomes sluggish. As tau c decreases, the closed loop response becomes faster. And with the tau c1, this is basically the closed loop response. Similarly, this is for the disturbance rejection. This part is the disturbance rejection. So in this disturbance rejection for tau c is equal to 10, you will have the disturbance rejection performance is pretty poor, whereas for tau c is equal to 1 is quite okay. But for the same thing, when we simulate the same thing for k 0.9, so here I have designed the controller parameter for k hat 0.9, but actual process gain is 2. So if I do that, in that case, you can see if I use tau c is equal to 1, see in an earlier case we have found that tau c is equal to 1 is a very good choice. But if I take k hat is equal to 0.9, then I find that tau c is equal to 1 will give you an oscillation. Although it will give a very fast response, but it will give an oscillations. Whereas tau c 10 is response is pretty slow over here. But the tau c3, if you look at the tau c3, the response is more or less quite smooth. So in a sense, if you look at the two cases, in one case k is equal to 2, the controller is designed based on the k hat is equal to 2. In another case, controller is designed based on k hat is equal to 0.9. Then in that case, if you compare the result, we'll see that tau c is equal to 3 is more robust compared to the tau c is equal to 1. So normally we'll take tau c is equal to 3, which will take care of the error in estimating the process model. So tau c is equal to 3 is basically the more robust tuning, will give a more robust tuning parameter for the PID controller. Okay. So thank you very much. So this is basically up to this one. I'll discuss in the next class. I'll discuss the internal model control approach. as well as the optimization approach. Is there any questions on this? Is there any questions? So from today onwards, I will start giving the assignments. From today onwards, I will start giving the assignment, as well as I will also announce the class test date. I am planning to take 3 class tests and give at least 3 assignments for this course. So these assignments request the MATLAB also. These assignments request the MATLAB also. So you should be conversant to the MATLAB, and from your home you can easily access the MATLAB online. So from there you can solve some of the problems in the assignment. Okay. So if you do not have any other questions, so let me end the meeting over here.